He came to see me. Dad, slow down on worrying about you because, boom, he knows that I spend time with my amateurs. You know me. Both of y'all know me very well.
Yeah.
Don't I spend time with my amateurs?
Yeah.
All the time.
All the time. That's my peace.
Tank's choice to part ways with Calvin Ford before the heated Roach fight sparked plenty of discussions. While many believed it was only a temporary move, it now looks like this might be permanent. And Kenny Ellis, he's not exactly thrilled with Tank's decision.
Definitely going on between Calvin Ford and Gervonta Davis. Now, we all seen that knockdown. And
I got Calvin tattooed on me. Calvin ain't going nowhere. Calvin is Pops, he ain't going anywhere. Gervonta Davis said just 6 weeks before the Lamont Roach fight. But when fight night arrived, Calvin Ford was nowhere in sight. Instead, Barry Hunter stood in Davis's corner while Ford watched from a distance. Then came the result, Davis's first ever fight without a victory. While some assumed this was just a one-time shakeup, Davis's latest comments suggest otherwise. For years, Tank's camp was rock solid. Ford and Kenny Ellis weren't just trainers, they were family. Think of Mike Tyson and Customato. If you need a modern comparison, think of Canelo and Eddie Reynoso or Pacquiao and Freddie Roach. That's how deep the bond was between Davis, Ford, and Ellis.
They never separated, you know? I guess it's because of Tank's comment, because he was asked if Coach Calvin was in his corner. He said, we'll see.
Right, because it's nobody's business, but, you know, he didn't mean anything by that, you know?
Facts. There you go.
They forever.
But now, that foundation is cracking. So what changed? Ford tried to downplay it in an interview with Fight Hub TV. Davis was gearing up for his second PBC Amazon Prime Video PPV event, headlining a stacked card at the Barclays Center. But the biggest story leading into the fight wasn't about his opponent, it was about who wouldn't be in his corner. Ford made it seem like no big deal. I'm still part of it. Just from a different perspective, he said. He seemed excited about the fight, confident in Davis's training, and even praised Roach. Recalling their past sparring sessions, he called it a big opportunity for Roach.
He wouldn't pick it up. Right. And so I think it was maybe a lack of focus just for a little bit, and we'll fix that. But nevertheless, I think that made that fight a draw.
Then he said something that made people pause. We ain't changing anything. But clearly, something had changed. Ford insisted he had just taken a step back, that the structure was still the same. The interviewer wasn't fully convinced. They weren't trying to stir up drama, but they had to ask, could the separation actually make their bond stronger? Sometimes, people step away only to come back even more connected than before. According to Hunter, this wasn't the first time there had been changes in Tank's corner. He insisted it was normal. He had been part of the team for years, dating back to Davis's amateur days. He knew how the internet loved to turn small shifts into major drama. But no matter how reassuring Hunter tried to be, the truth was coming out. When Davis finally addressed the situation, it wasn't what people expected. I understand Calvin has been like family, but right now, I need to focus more than ever on my career. So I'll be looking at other options with the time I've got left. That wasn't just Tank talking about a temporary adjustment, that was him admitting he was moving on. Suddenly, that old quote, Calvin ain't going anywhere, didn't mean much anymore. If there were any doubts before, they were gone now. Gervonta Davis was leaving Calvin Ford behind.
I think he's going to have Calvin in his corner this time. I think he will have Kenny, but he's not going to have Calvin. I think that's probably going to be like an advantage for you since he's going to have somebody new in his corner, if I'm not mistaken.
More than likely, I think that's...
Kenny Ellis, he wasn't happy about it. We built this together. You don't just walk away from family like that, Ellis said. He wasn't the only one. Even within Tank's inner circle, people questioned the decision. Did he really need to cut ties with Ford? Was this really about his career? Or was there something else going on behind the scenes? Some believed it was about control. For years, Davis had been known as one of the sport's most naturally gifted fighters, a knockout artist with unreal power. But there had always been whispers that he wasn't fully in control of his career, that he was being guided too much.
Fight, you know what I'm saying? Because Roach always, he come to fight. And I think it's a great fight. Everybody talking all that stuff about, oh, why Roach? Because he signed and took the fight, you know what I'm saying? And it's good for the community.
And Kenny, it was Floyd Mayweather. Many believe Floyd had too much say in Tank's career choices. But now, with Floyd out of the picture, was Tank trying to prove he could do things his way? Or was there real tension between him and Ford that no one was talking about? Ford had been with Davis from the very start. guiding him from a hungry young fighter in Baltimore to one of the biggest names in boxing. If anyone knew Davis better than he knew himself, it was Ford. And maybe that was the issue. Maybe Tank wanted a fresh start, a new coach, a new approach, a new direction. Because when
knowing the fighter, but knowing the corner too. He did tell me, he said he probably gonna come out a little harder the next round. They probably told him something. And then I guess when you go back and watch it, they did give him a little.
Didn't say it outright, but the message was clear. He wasn't planning to work with Ford again. Ford, for his part, hadn't spoken much about it, but those close to him said he was hurt. He had dedicated his life to Davis, believed in him, and kept him grounded even when Mayweather and others tried to steer him in different directions. And now, Davis was walking away. Kenny Ellis, however, wasn't staying silent for years. He had been right there alongside Ford, training Davis, guiding him, and helping build this team. Watching it all fall apart like this, it didn't sit right with him.
Back in the head biggest game, and I haven't been there, it brought back so much memory. When we first started off, and him seeing all us working together, he was happy. And at the end of the day, what it's about.
He wasn't.
Hold on. Child, you gotta calm down. Listen to me. Hey, come on now. We're trying to get out of there.
Tank Davis held onto his WBA lightweight world title in Brooklyn. After a majority draw against Lamont Roach Jr., Roach entered the fight as a heavy underdog but put on an impressive performance, making it a razor close 12-round battle. The scorecards read 115-113 for Davis, while the other two judges had it 114-114. Roach was just one round away from pulling off a massive upset. The result stings even more for Roach because Davis took a knee in the 9th round, but wasn't given a count by referee Steve Willis. Many big names in the boxing world have slammed the decision.
I just hope that he can find peace because he's got a lot of pain.
The State Athletic Commission reviewed the situation but decided to keep the result as a draw. Roach addressed the issue on X, formerly Twitter, saying, "Look, man, let me be straight with y'all. I didn't sue anybody. My team filed an appeal on my behalf." What kind of team wouldn't stand up for their fighter when they know something was wrong? So y'all can drop that lawsuit talk. Am I disappointed? A little. Especially since NYSAC admitted Steve made the wrong call in the 9th. But I wasn't banking on them overturning it. Everyone knows I won that fight, and that's enough for me. Part 2 coming soon.
Straight up, I ain't sue nobody. Shut the F up. My team submitted an appeal on my behalf. What it looked like not having a team that don't pull that trigger on some that they know was wrong. They stood up for me. So all that lawsuit stuff, y'all can put the rest. He goes on to say, I'm not surprised about the decision by the New York State Athletic Commission, a little disappointed.
They might still order an immediate rematch, something Davis is open to, even saying he could be ready as soon as May. But behind the scenes, things aren't looking great for Tank. The controversy has sparked a bigger conversation about his career, especially after his split with longtime trainer Calvin Ford. Many believe Ford's absence had a major impact on Davis's performance, and the draw only adds fuel to the fire.
Said, hopefully you can get the rematch with Lamont next, but everybody looks at you as the face of boxing and as somebody who calls the shots. Do you want that rematch next? And if so, how likely it is that we're to see that fight happen again this year?
I'm not sure, bro. I'm definitely not sure, but...
Who was already frustrated with Davis distancing himself from Ford, didn't hold back when asked about the result. You don't fix what ain't broken. You see what happens when people think they know better. Calvin and I have been guiding that boy for years. He takes us out. And look what happens, a damn draw, Ellis said. Many in the boxing community share that sentiment. Fans who once saw Davis as an unstoppable knockout artist are now questioning if he made a mistake changing his corner. One viral post on X read, Tank didn't look the same without Ford. That Roach fight was not it.
So everything is good with Calvin because it's the first time he's not the head trainer in a while.
Yeah, for sure. Calvin, again, I said Calvin's pops.
Davis, however, isn't fazed by the criticism. He stands by his decision to move on from Ford and explore new coaching options. But while Davis stays confident, the boxing world remains skeptical. With the WBA still considering a rematch, the pressure is mounting. If the fight happens in May and Davis doesn't dominate, the noise will only grow louder. If he struggles, again, the criticism will hit even harder. Meanwhile, Roach isn't backing down. He believes he did enough to win and is ready to do it again. Everyone knows I won, and I'm satisfied with that. part to coming soon, Roach said.
He caught me with a good shot, but it was times that I sat in there with him and I'm like, damn, this guy like super slow. Well, not super slow, but he's slow. And I could have took advantage of. I think I was boxing too much in the beginning. And when I feel like
Davis, this rematch could be a career-defining moment. A decisive win would silence the doubters and prove he doesn't need Calvin Ford. But if Roach gives him trouble again or worse, pulls off the upset, then the doubts about Ford's absence will turn into undeniable truths. Right now, Davis stands firm in his decision, but with everything at stake, how long can he ignore the pressure? While both fighters are open to a rematch, Davis hinted that his next fight might not be against Roach after all.
Frank, you lost that fight. I mean, the only reason they gave you the fight was because you would make more money as a champion, but there's no way it's a draw, and they didn't call it a knockdown. If they called a knockdown, you lost.
Speaking at the post-fight press conference at Barclays Center in Brooklyn, Davis admitted he wants a rematch, but it won't be his next fight. Instead, he left the boxing world on edge with a cryptic tease. You might see it in a minute. You definitely might see it in a minute. See y'all soon. I'll be back. That response set social media ablaze, with fans and analysts speculating about his next move. If it's not Roach, then who? A voluntary defense against a lesser opponent? Or is Davis setting up something much bigger? His carefully worded response has many thinking his next opponent could be Shocker Stevenson.
What was your pick? And you said you would reveal it afterwards.
12 rounds, it's going to be a decision, but I want to run it back. Lamont did his thing. I thought it was
Adding to the speculation, Stevenson was ringside for Davis versus Roach. Before the fight, he called it a 50-50 matchup, hinting at stepping into the ring with Davis soon. Stevenson recently scored a 9th-round TKO over Josh Pavley, putting him on a similar timeline as Davis. A fight between the two undefeated stars would be massive, a true defining moment for the lightweight division. Given their ongoing trash talk and growing rivalry, fans are hopeful this long-awaited clash could finally happen next.
Tank did what he had to do, you feel me? I think that, listen, it's a great fight. Maybe they should do a rematch. I think that should be something that everybody is up in the air, so I think it'll make more sense and more eyes for everybody as well.
Of course, Stevenson was in attendance, so do you think...
Has always made strategic career moves. With Floyd Mayweather no longer guiding him, he now controls his own path. While he's been selective with opponents in the past, a fight with Stevenson could cement his legacy. Stevenson, meanwhile, has been vocal about his struggles securing big fights. Facing Davis would be his chance to prove he's the top dog at 135 pounds. For now, the boxing world waits, but with Davis is late.
They reversed the result of your fight.
Yeah.
Should they reverse the result of that fight as well?
Just depends. Like if that changes the whole fight, if that gives Roach a victory, give him the victory. That's how you keep the integrity of the sport, right? That's why they suspended me, right? To keep the integrity of the sport. So
fight, Roach landed a clean shot on Davis, causing him to take a knee and briefly touch the canvas. Under boxing rules, that should have been ruled a knockdown. However, the referee shocked everyone by not starting the count. Instead, Davis quickly got up and went to his corner, wiping his eyes and explaining that sweat from his hair was stinging them. That referee's decision played a major role in the fight ending as a draw, sparking a wave of controversy. While Davis remains undefeated, many fans feel Roach was robbed of a career-defining victory.
I'm still rooting with him. I saw all the negativity and people, critics talking, but I think he's one hell of a fighter, and I think he's still the top dog.
Boxing fans are no strangers to controversial decisions, but this one feels different. The referee's failure to count the knockdown has turned this into one of the biggest scandals in recent boxing history. Fighters, trainers, and analysts have all weighed in, calling the decision unfair. Even Davis's biggest supporters are struggling to defend what happened. The New York State Athletic Commission is reviewing the 9th round closely, and their ruling could have a huge impact on the final result.
He take a knee. You need to lose like 10-8 that round at least, no? And plus the corner go up and put it a towel in the face. That's a disqualification for sure. I'm talking about the rules, but you know.
Lamont Roach Jr.'s legal team has officially filed evidence seeking to have him declare the winner. Tensions are rising, and the commission's decision could shake up the lightweight division. If they rule in Roach's favor, Davis could lose his title on appeal, a rare occurrence in boxing. However, history shows that commissions are hesitant to overturn results unless there's overwhelming proof of wrongdoing. For now, Davis remains the WBA champion, but if the commission finds the referee made a critical error, the WBA might be forced to order an immediate rematch.
Literally saw the mental breakdown of Tank. Like, again, if you got that elite level why, you know what you saw. He was intimidated by Roach, and it was like baffling to see. Why was he moving? Because to me, he was intimidated by Roach. To me,
Hearn, however, doubts that the New York State Athletic Commission will overturn the result. While Hearn believes the 9th round knockdown should have counted, he doesn't see the commission reversing the decision. He wasn't hurt. But if you go down on your knees while punches are being thrown, it's a knockdown, Hearn told Fight Hype interview. To 5, Hearn's opinion carries weight. He's seen plenty of controversial decisions and understands boxing politics. He doesn't expect Roach to get the win on appeal, but he does think the controversy will motivate Davis. He'll be back stronger. But let's be real, this wasn't his best night. He needs to make a statement, whether it's against Roach, Stevenson, or someone else, Hearn said.
Because Tank knew every time he was throwing something, he was getting caught with something. And this enabled Tank from sitting down on his punches. When he has opponents in front of him who he knows is going to fear him and run away, he's sitting down on every shot and he's throwing everything into them. With Roach, he was unable to do that because Lamont was throwing back. And this
statement highlights Davis's tricky situation. If he avoids a rematch, critics will say he's ducking Roach, especially since the 9th round controversy hasn't faded. But if he fights Stevenson next, it could be seen as a way to shift focus from the Roach situation. Either way, Davis needs a dominant performance to silence his doubters.
Let me tell you something. Tank got spanked. Roach should have won. And Tank even dropped to his knee. It should have been.
Weight division is stacked, and Davis's next move could define his career. Will he go for redemption against Roach, take the risk against Stevenson, or take an unexpected route? Answers are coming soon. But one thing is certain, Davis is at a career crossroads, and the whole boxing world is watching. What's your take? Drop your thoughts below and subscribe for updates.